Hey guys, this is the video lesson for 6.6, but this is day one. We are only going to focus on the distributive property today. There'll be another lesson on the second part of this lesson tomorrow. So let's start out, and we are going to talk about what the distributive property is today. So in words, well, we'll ignore that because that usually doesn't make sense. But here's what the distributive property says. It says that if you have a problem like this, 2 times 7 plus 4 in parentheses, that you can multiply the 2 times the 7, which is right there, and the 2 times the 4, which is right there, and then you can add those two products together. And if you do that, you'll get 14 plus 8, which is 22. That's what the distributive property says. So let's go down and we'll go over some examples here. So the first part of the distributive property is just involving numbers, no variables yet. And this involves just using the distributive property for mental math. So in this problem, we are going to find 9 times 4 and 1/3 mentally using the distributive property. I want you to think about that. Using the distributive property, I can solve this mental math, which is not the easiest thing to do. So check it out. Let me get some workspace first. Okay, here's some workspace. So now I want you to think of this problem. 9 times 4 and 1/3. Think of it like this. 9 times 4 plus 1/3. So watch how I solve it. I do 9 times 4, which is 36. And then I do 9 times 1/3. Now think of that. 9 times 1/3 means 1/3 of 9. And 1/3 of 9 is 3. Add those together, I get 39. That's my answer. Now let me show you up here without writing it in parentheses so you can see what it looks like. You would do 9 times 4, which is 36, 9 times 1/3, which is 3, add those together, 39. Okay, let's try a couple together. So let's go down, and we're going to try A. I'm going to kind of guide you through it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to multiply 5 times the 2, and then we're going to do 5 times the 3/5, and we're going to add those two together. So get ready. Okay, do this, follow my directions. So do 5 times 2 and write that number down here. Now you're going to do 5 times 3/5 and write that number down here. Remember, you have to divide it by 5 times 3 to get that. So get that number. Now if you had it, write your sum. Add them together, you'll get your answer. Okay, let's see how you did. So I'm going to start off with the 5 times the 2, which is 10. Now watch how I do the 5 times the 2/3. Remember, I'm going to do 5 divided into fifths. 5 divided by 5 is 1, times 3 is 3. Add those together, and I get 13. All right, now let's go over to B. And I'm going to have you try this one more on your own. This time, I want you to do, you'll do the 12 times the 2. Then you're going to do the 12 times the 1/4. Remember, that's just 1/4 of 12. Add those two numbers together and see what you get. Okay, pause the video, see if you can do it. Go ahead. All right, did you get it? Well, let's check it out. So 12 times 2 is 24. Okay, I'm going to put my plus sign. Then I'm going to do 12 times the 1/4, or 1/4 of 12. So that just means 12 divided by 4, which is 3. Add those together. 24 plus 3 is 27. Okay. Now, and C I'm going to do with you because there's a decimal involved. So watch this one. Watch. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to do 2 times 3. Well, that part's easy. Let's just write that down. 2 times 3 is 6, right? But then I have to do 2 times 0.6. Now 2 times 0.6, remember you just do 2 times 6, which is 12. But since it's 0.6, it's 1.2. Okay, now I'm going to add these up. To add this up mentally, remember you add the 6 with the 1, and you get 7.2. Okay, so here's the thing. Don't worry if you aren't 100% on that, because this first part with the mental math, that's just to kind of give you a strategy to solve these mentally. So if you don't understand it, it's not the end of the world, because we can't test you on that. But the important part of the distributive property is to do it with variables down below. So look at example 2. It says use the distributive property to rewrite 2 times x plus 3. Now this ties into our inquiry lab yesterday. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to get some workspace here, and then we'll go over it. All right, you're ready. It says use a distributive property to rewrite 2 times x plus 3. So here's what we did yesterday in the inquiry lab. We knew that 2 times x plus 3 meant 2 groups of x plus 3. So we had x plus 3. So there's one group of x plus 3. And here's a second group. There's x plus 3, which we have 2 groups. And the distributive property said I could rearrange those so all my x's are together and all my 1's are together. So I have these 2 x's, which I put together, and these 3 1's with these 3 1's, and I would get my answer. I have 2 x's plus 6 1's. 2x plus 6 1's. But I'm assuming you don't want to do that with by drawing pictures all the time. So let me show you how the distributive property is going to work just using math. So I start with 2 times x plus 3. Remember, that's 2 groups of x plus 3. So I'm going to start by multiplying 2 times x. Remember, that means I have 2 x's. So that's 2x. I bring down my plus sign. But don't forget to do the 2 times the 3. Remember those 2 groups of 3 1's? I put them together. Well, I had 6 1's, right? So 2 times 3 is 6. Now, I can't add 2x and 6 together because these are those long, skinny x tiles. These are those little 1 tiles. You can't combine those. So this is how you rewrite an expression using the distributive property. So now we're going to go down. I'm going to do a little bit with you for D, E, and F, and I'm going to have you try some of those on your own. So let me get rid of that guy, and let's look at D. So do D with me. I'm going to do it step by step. So first thing, you're going to multiply 8 times x. And if you write that down, it is just going to be 8x. Then we bring down our plus sign here. And here is the part people forget the most. They forget to distribute. You have to multiply the 8 times the second number. And 8 times 3 is 24. This is it. You can't go any further because you can't add x's with integers. So 8x plus 24 is in simplest form. All right. Now, in problem E, I'm going to guide you a little bit less. So here's what I'm going to tell you. You're going to have something plus something, and that's going to be your answer. Ready? You are going to start by distributing the 5 times the 9, and you're going to write that number down there. Okay, did you write it down? Are you sure? Did you write it down? All right. Then you're going to do the 5 times the x, and write that down there. And then that's it. Let's see how you did. Are you ready? Did you do 5 times 9, which is 45? Okay, then did you do 5 times the x, which is 5x? And that's it. That's how you rewrite a product of a sum using a distributive property. Now, the last one I'm going to have you do by yourself. So I want you to do F by yourself. You can look back at the other 2 problems that I did with you as a model. Pause the video, do it. When you're done, restart it. Go. Okay, let's see how you did. So, by the way, I like to draw these arrows because it helps me not forget to distribute. So I'm going to do 2 times x, which is 2x. Did you remember to bring down your plus sign? Don't forget that. And then I'm going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. And that's your answer. That's how you rewrite it using the distributive property. All right. Now, on to the top of the next page, we're just going to do one real-world example, and you're going to do problem G. And that's going to be it for today with the distributive property in the video. So let me show you in example 3 how this real world problem works. Okay, it says Fran is making a pair of earrings and a bracelet for 4 friends. All right, so I'm going to circle some things. So there's earrings and a bracelet. Okay, and she's doing that for 4 friends. All right. Each pair of earrings uses 4.5 centimeters of wire. Okay, so let me think about that. That means the earrings use 4.5 centimeters of wire. Okay, and each bracelet uses 13 centimeters. So each bracelet uses 13 centimeters. Now, the question says to write 2 equivalent expressions and then find out how much total wire is needed. Okay, so let me get some workspace here. All right, now I have some workspace. So here's what we know. There's 4 friends that are each getting an pair of earrings and each getting a bracelet. So think of those 4 friends as 4 groups. So I have 4 groups. Now we have to find the total amount of wire that is needed. So we're going to need 4 groups for the earrings and the bracelets. Now remember, each earring requires 4.5 centimeters of wire, and each bracelet uses 13 centimeters. So this expression here, here's what it says. It says for the bracelet and the earrings, it require 4.5 plus 13, because that would get you the wire for the bracelets and the earrings. But this says there are 4 of them because 4 friends are getting them. So that's the one expression. Now watch how I write an equivalent expression. That means it's going to be equal. So when I write an equivalent expression, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to think of how I would solve it by distributing. So I would do 4 times 4.5, right? So I'm going to write that down. 4 times 4.5. And don't forget the plus sign. And then I would do 4 times 13. So I'm going to write that down. 4 times 13. These 2 expressions are equivalent. So this is 4 times 4.5 plus 13 is the same as 4 times 4.5 plus 4 times 13. Now to solve, it says then find how much total wire is needed. Well, you can solve either side. I don't care what one you want to do. So I'll show you both actually. So if I do the distributing side, I'm going to do 4 times 4.5. Now I'm going to use mental math. Remember, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 0.5, that's half, is 2. So that's 18. Plus 4 times 13. And 4 times 13 is 52. If I add those together, I get 70 centimeters. Now watch how solving this one over here is the same thing. I have 18 plus 52 is 70. All right, so I know that seems kind of complicated, so I'm going to guide you through problem G with me. Just stay with me and pause the video if I go too fast. Are you ready? Let's read it together. It says, each day, Martin lifts weights for 10 minutes and runs on the treadmill for 25 minutes. Okay, so he lifts weights for 10 minutes and he runs on a treadmill for 25 minutes. Okay? It says write 2 equivalent expressions and then find the total minutes that Martin exercises for 7 days. So, watch how I'm going to set this up for you. First off, the 7 days are the 7 groups. So you have to multiply the 7 days. Now you got to think of what we're going to add in here. So think of the 2 things we would add up. 7 days or 7 groups of what plus what. Remember, we're trying to find the total minutes of exercising. So let's see what you would write. Well, it's 10 minutes for lifting weights and 25 minutes for the treadmill. All right, now when we write the equivalent expression, we just show 7 times 10 plus 7 times a 25. All right, now your job is to solve that. Pause the video, solve it, and you'll have the total amount of minutes that Martin can exercise. Go ahead. All right, let's see what you got. So I'm going to zoom in on this side here. So first, 7 times 10 is 70, plus 7 times 25. I think of 7 quarters. That's $1.75. So 7 times 25 is 175. Then to solve it, I just have to add those together. So 175 plus 70 is 245. So for those 7 days, Martin exercises for 245 minutes. That's your answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here's the deal. You are done with me for today with the video. Don't worry about examples, these examples down here. That's the next video, that's tomorrow. But I do know, absent, you're going to have to do some problems on the next page. So make sure you look at your absent sheet. Other than that, as always, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask me. Thanks, guys.